Linux OTC, episode 53. I'm Majid.
No, 54.
Oh shit. Let's start again, shall we?
No, just keep going. We know what it is now.
Okay, so it's episode 54. All right, sorry. Even having just checked it, I still managed to get it wrong. See, this is what happens when Daddy's not here, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, big
We're just
old,
gonna
Mr.
make a big
Hauser.
mess and then let him clean it up.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Good.
Dad, we had a
Good
party.
audio.
I hope you don't mind.
Coolio. So how are you, fine gentlemen, on this? Well, I'll tell you, I don't know what the weather's like over there, but here it is absolutely baking. It's 94 degrees. I checked as well and I calculated.
Celsius? My God.
Fahrenheit.
Oh.
Yeah. And considering this is the UK, do you know what I mean? That's like double our normal temperature.
Yeah.
This is the third heat wave that we've had in the last month. And
So
it's
do you have an air conditioner?
No.
Oh, good God.
Nobody has air conditioners because we're not
See,
that
as
hot.
an American, that sounds appalling to me, and especially as a southeastern American, that sounds appalling to me. Like,
So-
Oh,
I
no,
can't-
exactly. It's because
had
it's
a
not normally
question.
this warm. As I said, normally our summers are dingy, dirt. You get a couple of days of sunshine. If you hit 22, which is whatever that is in Fahrenheit, I don't know. That's something. But, this is the third time this year we've hit 34, 35.
And you
Wow.
haven't learned your lesson and gotten a window unit of some kind.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Well, I was looking at a standalone unit actually, but they're about £200, and I'm like, for the 3 days of the year, should I really? Do you know what I mean? Is it worth
I
it?
would. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I hate heat. I hate
Yeah.
heat.
Well, I mean,
I cower
you-
in the corner like in the shade.
yeah. I mean, if
Yeah.
we get another one, if we end up with another heat wave, then I definitely will. But
That's
I mean,
what you said the last time.
The thing is, they last.
you got
they
to
last
plan
about
ahead.
5. Yeah. Okay.
You can't like.
It's like-
try to go to the store right now and buy an air conditioner. I bet it's
It's-
probably impossible.
It's
Well,
like around
Amazon, innit?
here. Yeah, it's like around here or whatever. Your house gets blown away and you're like, well, the next house we'll build a tornado shelter or, something
Okay.
like that. Or we won't get a trailer, something like that.
Yeah. But I mean, I remember a couple of years ago we had a summer which was full of summer storms. Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't get past 8, 15, 16 degrees, and which is what, the 60s, I think, for you guys.
Yeah.
60s in Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And it would be, it'd be raining and there was flooding and all sorts of stuff. So it's just so, because of where we are, from a latitude and longitude perspective and the way that the jet stream is, if the jet stream is just off by a little bit every year, it completely messes our weather up. Either you end up with loads of storms and it's cold, or it becomes baking hot like this. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the country's not designed for it. I mean, the last heat wave, which was a couple of weeks ago, technically, I was in hospital at the time, and that was not fun. Being in hospital,
Oh, right.
You're doing a hospital, no air conditioner, not allowed fans either, because
In the
Hospital doesn't have
hospital?
air conditioning.
yeah, there isn't.
You're kidding me.
In the
All
theaters
hospitals
there
are
is. In the operating theaters there are.
Oh, yeah, they don't want you to mold.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's to do with infection control. So in theater you have it, but you also have positive airway pressure flow. So the flow, there's a draft. There's always a draft in theaters,
Yes.
in the operating room, because the air is constantly being pushed out, and it has to be recycled every certain times an hour to keep that area sterile. On the wards and stuff, because it's never generally this warm, ever, except it has been for the last couple of years, having air conditioning would actually be a vector for infection. Do you know what I mean? You'd
Because you're exchanging air, but you're not
Yeah.
cleaning it.
yeah, you're exchanging it, but you're not cleaning it,
Oh,
right?
I see.
And so, and again, when we didn't get that hot, it wasn't too bad. But yes, it wasn't fun when I was in hospital. And yes, we can't have fans either, because that's a health and safety thing. Because there has been reports of psychotic patients taking them apart and smashing people over the head with the thing. You know what I mean? This kind of. So therefore, in the way in
They
the
would
classic
do it with the
public
tongue depressors, man.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, but
Just,
anywho.
a vampire.
Yeah, anywho, it wasn't fun, I must say. The only good thing was that the ward that I was on the second floor, and at least with the windows open, you'd get a decent breeze in, which would cool you down in the evening.
And see here, we're so reliant on air conditioning that most of the windows in buildings do not open.
And even our ones can only open a certain amount because there's been
Safety.
patients who've tried to. Patients have tried to, jump, and I think one did at my hospital many years in the past out of a window. So that's why it's absolutely baking here at the minute. One of those days where I find myself drinking a lot of water, keeping myself well hydrated. I assume it's warm in your neck of the woods as well at this time of year.
Always.
Yeah, I mean you're
Not
in
just
Florida, so
warm,
it's always warm, isn't it? Florida's always warm,
it's
isn't it?
hot and swampy and just so sticky and
Humidity, isn't it?
Even at night. Even at night. I went out the other night. It was at least 10 o'clock at night. And as soon as I opened the door, it was like walking into an oven. And it's just... And I don't necessarily keep my house that cold. It's like 77 in here, 78 maybe. It's just enough to really get the humidity out of the air. But yeah, outside right now, I think it's 96, 97.
Okay.
And that's just every day. Like that is just living here. And people did it before air conditioning, but I don't understand how.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same whenever I've been to the Gulf and I've kind of like, everybody's reliant on air conditioning. How people used to survive in 49 degrees, 50 degrees. The only thing I can kind of say is, at least in some of the countries, like for example, Saudi, it's dry heat. It's dry desert heat. And although that's not fun, it's less uncomfortable. Dubai, I found really uncomfortable because it's humidity as well, and it's on the coast, and so it's a high amount of humidity. I found that quite uncomfortable. And again, how did people survive without air conditioning? But hey ho, these are the classic first world problems, aren't they?
It's for most people, it's not deadly, and of course, unless you're shut up in a closed room or something. But we have evolved to to survive elevated temperatures. It's just not comfortable, especially in a modern sense where we're used to being dry and clean, and so you get up, you take a shower. Like I took a shower 3 hours ago, and now I feel like I want another one already because I've just been sweating so much today. And,
I couldn't live
but
there.
I think in the past, you just would have sweat, and like that's just what life was, and like there was no expectation of your clothes being as clean as they are today, or you being as clean, or
you wore the same clothes under the other 4 layers of clothes that you wore every day, even in the heat.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it was like wool.
Yeah, you got to hide that stank, man.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you're in Texas, aren't you, Leo? I mean, I've always heard that's a hot place, but is that humidity as well, or is it just dry heat, or
depends on how southeast you go. But yeah, I mean, you've got Florida climate down near Houston. I couldn't do that. But up a little northwest where I'm at, it's been actually pretty nice. Just a little bit of humidity, and we've been in the 80s these past, like, for quite a while, actually. But to pay for that, we've had tons of flash floods around this area.
Yes, I've been seeing all of that actually.
We're up above 100 people have died.
160 missing, something like that. So that was your area, was it?
It was near. One of them was about 80 miles south of where I am.
Oh shit, man.
I've got family there.
Stay safe, man.
Yeah, well, we're under a flash flood watch now here where I'm at, but it's 81 degrees, so it feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
but normally about this time it's like 100 degrees, 105, something like that, and just every day.
That's interesting.
Every day, you get a couple of clouds. It's 105 degrees. You step outside, you melt a little bit. You want to go back inside. Yeah, man, and you try to get into your car, and your car doesn't want you in it. It's
no.
You just, oh my God, you gotta. If you have remote start, that's the best way to do this. Turn the AC on for about 5 minutes, and then you're okay to go. But yeah, it's usually pretty oppressive.
It's the same thing opposite in Canada, in that most people will have again remote drove up in the winter and they'd warm their car for about 5-10 minutes before they actually get in.
Oh, you
'Cause
need
it-
block heaters up there. Yeah.
So it's interesting, isn't it? Really, in that sense, I shouldn't really be complaining, really, isn't it? It's first world problems. Well, since this is a podcast that's called Linux OTC, I suppose we should talk something vaguely about Linux. I suppose.
Nah,
Yeah.
let's
Well,
talk more about cars.
Yeah. Well,
I know,
There's
I-
Linux in cars sometimes, right?
Yeah. No, I actually had a Linux-related thing to talk about, which is that I've been trying Plasma Mobile.
Really?
Yeah. So
How does one do that?
how does one do that? So basically, I bought a Microsoft Surface a month or two ago. Second hand off eBay, $250 for a Surface Pro 7, 10th gen i5, 8 gig of RAM, 256 gig of storage. Came with the pencil and the keyboard and stuff. Reasonably good. And obviously, the first thing I'd want to do with something like that is put Linux onto it because Windows, and so first I put Fedora on it because I remember us discussing here about how good GNOME is on. Actually, no. First, I lie. I put Kubuntu on it first. Then I thought this isn't as good a touchscreen thing as I thought. So then I put Fedora on. When I put Fedora on, I didn't know if it was the GNOME or was Fedora or something that I was doing. But it didn't seem as performant as it had before. And so I thought, then I thought, and I think we might have discussed this on the last OTC. I think it was yourself, Eric. You recommended CachyOS, because it's
on a phone.
Optimized.
No, on my
on the
Surface.
Surface. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Story's going on, man. Story's going on. Give me a minute.
I got it confused, man.
Yeah. Anyway, at that point, for reasons I don't understand, Cachy would not install. I mean, it would wipe the computer and get rid of the boot order, but it wouldn't actually install. And I was getting all sorts of these random error messages, which I put in here in the chat to kind of figure out what was going on. And it looked like Grub was messing up, basically. So in the end, the only way I could fix it and get another distro onto it was I had to reinstall Windows 11 and then blow that away again.
On the phone?
On the Surface, yeah. Yeah.
Leo's just going to keep saying on the phone.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, at this point, this is around the time when I was just before I went to hospital, and I just started. I thought I'm going to try Kubuntu again. Maybe it's because GNOME is too heavy and KDE Plasma is a little bit lighter. Let me put that back on. So then I put Kubuntu back on, and it was working fine. And then as I was bored and in the hospital, I kind of set it up and did stuff while baking in the heat. And yes, I mean it does work all right actually with touchscreen stuff as long as you put the Linux kernel on, the Linux Surface kernel. But then it occurred to me, why not? Hasn't KDE Plasma got its own mobile thing? So I thought, okay, and so you can install that just like you'd install another desktop environment. You can do it through the GUI, but I did it through the CLI. And there's a couple of packages you install, which I did. And interesting is what I'd say. Interesting. It looks very Android-like in the kind of way that it is. It's all about full screen apps, and you can have more than one open. But the same kind of swipe gestures, the same kind of app. You have a home screen and then you have an app drawer, and you open up the app drawer and then you pick which app you want to use, and you can put one on one side and have split screen and things like that. So it's been quite all right actually. The only thing I found was a little bit of an issue was the on-screen keyboard wouldn't always come on, which was a little bit of a problem if you're going to use it just as even if I disconnected it from the laptop from the keyboard case and I just had it just as is. Randomly in certain apps, the keyboard wouldn't show up, and I figured out why that was. It was the Snap packages. So if I had anything installed as a Snap, because it was Kubuntu, it already had Mozilla Thunder
right.
Firefox on it as a Snap. And so if I used that, for some reason, the on-screen keyboard wouldn't come up. But if I used another browser, which was either on as a flat pack or as a deb package, then the on-screen keyboard would come up. So it must be something to do with the sandboxing, uh, with snaps. But that was Flatpaks just does seem to be just better in every single way, doesn't it? Really. I mean, I
on
have
the
given
desktop. On the desktop. I
yeah
always
on
add
the
that
desktop
caveat.
yeah on the desktop. The server,
Well,
I know.
obviously, because on the phone they won't even
Yeah,
bring up the keyboard, man.
yeah.
So were you
But
switching between them? Were you switching between full KDE Plasma? Was it like
yeah, you can do.
on the
So
greeter you could switch between the
yeah, you can
sessions?
do.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do. So on that yeah, exactly on that, what's it called? SDDM, the login
Yeah.
screen, and
Yes.
you can choose which, because it defaults to Plasma on Wayland, but you can do Plasma on X11 normally, and then
That's
now
bloat.
yeah, and then now I've got Plasma Mobile as one of the options as well.
Interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
tried Plasma on that Latitude I have, which is a shameless Surface ripoff, and it just, like you said, it just didn't. The keyboard wouldn't open up when I'd expect it to, and that really didn't have much to do with snaps. It was just, it didn't seem like Plasma itself was very intelligent when it came to, or elegant with, not having a keyboard. Because the same thing, I would just take the keyboard case off. It was fine with the keyboard, obviously, but then take the keyboard case off. The touch was fine, no problems with that. But then you'd go, hit a text entry field and nothing, and it just,
Yeah.
Is
there
there
was
no
a
way
toggle.
to like bring it up
Yeah,
manually?
exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing. I can't seem to find an option for having it to come on manually, like in the status bar or something like that, or
So
Yeah.
on
both
one
of
of the
you,
panel.
having used Plasma Mobile, have both run into this issue. I
No, no,
can't
no. This
imagine.
wasn't Plasma Mobile. This was just
Oh,
Plasma. So
well,
what I
but
was,
okay, but still, I guess you're kind of in that boat where you need the on-screen keyboard sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't come up, so there needs to be a manual way to invoke
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and
that's
I
what I
just
came
couldn't.
up with
I
too.
couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to make
I'm
do it come
sure
on.
there's
There
a
is a way.
terminal command to do that.
Yeah.
I just have the sense that there's probably, if you are willing to take the effort or put forth the effort, you can probably tune it to work properly. I've had bad luck with that in the past where I put in that kind of effort, I get everything just the way I want it to be, and then there's a certain amount of drift that happens where as new updates come out, packages get changed, config files potentially get changed, that things will revert or have problems, or they'll just change something, and then it doesn't work as well, and it just seems like a very fragile setup. Whereas that's why I went with GNOME, and I mean Pop! OS really was the best option for me because everything was just built in. The gesture
See,
support, the keyboard, everything just works on my
you've made
Latitude.
the argument for Adwaita, by the way,
Yeah,
for GNOME forcing everybody to use the same interface, look and feel, and everything.
yeah.
No, I
Because
mean,
when you have a standard set of tools, everybody knows how to use them, whether they like it or not, and it will always be
Well,
consistent across everything.
yeah, I mean,
and I also think that,
I was never that upset with the whole Adwaita thing, and I did kind of think that it was just a bunch of people taking it.
But
There's
you
no such thing
would.
as a free
You've
lunch
got
in it.
the
There's
yeah,
no such thing as a
you
free
would
lunch,
because
is
you're a
there?
Linux guy. You're one of the types right now, and then you'll peter out a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't see what the big fuss was about. Especially oh, we have to conform to this, we have to conform to that, and it's kind of like, well, do you really? Not really. If you don't want to, don't. But yeah, I never understood what the storm was about that when that became a
Oh,
thing. I
well,
well,
mean,
it was about.
I'd say that,
maybe I just didn't understand it, which is quite
Oh, it's,
possible as well.
I think it was a lot of
yeah,
people that liked very custom theming and different looks and feels to GNOME, and now they can't do that anymore. And it was, well, I mean, they can, right? They just have to do it differently. You have to replace Adwaita, and then whatever you replace it with does your theming. But I suppose if you replace all of Adwaita, then you'd actually have a pretty consistent system, and everything would conform to it.
You could, but then I get that same sense that it's going to be a little more fragile than you might want it to be, and especially with Wayland and some of the newer, expectations of having Adwaita, especially on that system. I mean, you like you said, you could probably do it, but I guess it's really comes down to fit for purpose. And when I think about it, I think of GNOME and GTK as being more mobile friendly or touch friendly by design. It's larger, it's more spacious, it's just easier to sort of navigate and launch things and switch and like stuff like that. Whereas Plasma is so much of that traditional desktop paradigm that you are more or less just saying, well, that instead of using a mouse, you're using touch, but hopefully the keyboard comes up, but it's I felt like the gesture support was pretty weak. It just didn't feel like Plasma was the right fit for that. So
so I found that with Plasma 6, I think it's Plasma 6, or was it 6.1 or something? I can't remember. With one of the newer versions anyway, a lot of that stuff did get better, like gestures and specific touchscreen kind of swipes. But you do have to do a bit of setup for them. So I have, for example, figured out, the way of swiping from the bottom to get all your apps to come up. This is before I put Plasma Mobile on. And, swiping down from the top would kind of give you like an expose view. Swiping from the side, you could make it cycle through different apps. But you did have, but I suppose that's always the thing with KDE, isn't it? In general, is that it's all about the options and the customizations, and you can do stuff, but you have to put that bit of effort in, whilst other ones like other desktop environments like GNOME, for example, have always been kind of, this is the way it is, and you can shoehorn or smash it into something else, but then you're kind of missing the point, because then what was the point? Do you know what I mean? If you wanted a system that looked like Cinnamon, then just get Cinnamon. If you wanted a system that looked like,
I really like GNOME, but there really is no point in not having app indicators. I still don't get that.
Absolutely, and that's why everybody ships them except for Fedora and a few other, all the larger distributions recognize that, and they include a taskbar, they include a launcher, they include, they're the 3 or 4 glaring omissions that GNOME, just decided. But Elementary has done the same thing with tray icons, and I remember having an argument years ago with Danielle about that point, where it's like, you can say that you don't like them because they're inconsistent and they try to do weird things, and I get that, but the point is that there are so many pieces of software that just assume that it's there, and if it's not, it doesn't function. And you can't just say to users, oh well, sorry, it doesn't fit within our design sensibilities that that piece of software should work. I mean, that's just kind of a bullshit answer.
Even Mac OS, the ones that force everything on you, allow app indicators because everybody expects them to be there.
Of course,
but
because it's just a fundamental way. I mean, Jesus, look at every mobile operating. I mean, there's only 2, right? But Mac or iOS and Android are the same way. Like, could you imagine either of them without notifications and a tray like that?
Well, technically, iOS does it the way that GNOME does it. In that way, there's not a lot of app indicators up there. Android does that thing where they fill up the entire bar.
So they're using notifications then instead of, it's kind of like a different way.
I've always thought that the notification system on iOS is terrible. And I'm not just saying that as someone who uses Android. I have noticed...
You are saying that as someone who uses Android, though.
I'm saying that as someone who uses Android. Last time I used iOS, it drove me absolutely insane. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, like, to the extent that I've actually got it in my head that part of the reason that if, people don't reply to texts and WhatsApps or Telegram messages, whatever, as quickly as other people is they're on iOS, and so they miss the notification. Because the notification
was they don't 3D have touch. Was it 3D touch?
That was so cool.
So that was the last time I used an iOS device, and it was like if you press a little bit, it does one thing, and if you press more, it does another thing. And
Yeah.
God, that was so frustrating. But
No,
yeah,
that was great. They took that away, but
Yeah. It only
that
lasted a year, didn't it?
was so no, it was like it was a good run. It was like maybe 2 to 4 years, somewhere in there. But
they took it away.
yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
and that's sad. I don't like that it's gone because I thought it was actually really clever. But people, it wasn't accessibility friendly, right? Like
Yeah.
for people with anything wrong with your hands, you might struggle with something like that. So I totally get why they got it.
And you can replicate that with just like a long press, can't you? Anyway,
I think
I
that's pretty much what happened anyway. So
yeah.
yes, you can.
Because most Android phones don't have any kind of force touch or anything like that, but they have if you hold, you will get like an extra menu come up, if on a long press. So it can be done in software. They don't necessarily need to have hardware to do it.
I think part of the reason iOS did it is because they knew Android couldn't afford to. Android wouldn't have spent like Android manufacturer phones manufactured for Android. I don't think would have spent the extra cost to put the extra layer of glass in there and the extra sensors to see whether or not they could do 3D. I think that was part of the calculus there why it got put into iOS. But I mean, I liked it. It was a cool feature, but
Maja,
I think I like all the features.
Do you use the old static navigation buttons, or do you use swipe gestures on Android?
On Android, it's a swipe.
Yeah.
Swipe
Okay.
all the time. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, because I mean, I still know lots of people that have to have those buttons. They can't
Yeah,
understand.
my wife is like that. My wife still has to have the buttons.
Hold on.
Yeah, my wife picks
Explain
up
to
my
me. What are
phone
we
and
talking
she's like,
about?
"What?"
So on Android, the preferred way to navigate is through gestures. Swiping from one side to go either side to go back. Swipe up from the bottom to go home. Do that long way, and you end up with a multitasking, very similar to iOS, right? And that's been the preferred way since I'm gonna say about at least 5 years.
Yeah,
Probably
about 4 or 5 years, yeah.
Android 10 probably, and we're on 16 now.
And you're talking
I'd say.
about that versus like physical back buttons, like down
So
at the
in the
bottom.
past,
they're on the screen. They're on the screen,
so
but yes,
before that,
dedicated buttons. Yes.
Yeah. So before that, you would have on-screen buttons. That came from Android 4 Ice Cream Sandwich. Before that, there were physical buttons, but after that, it was software buttons, and there was a back, a home, and a recents button. And there are some people who
that's
just
me. I do that. I use those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me.
So my wife, she still prefers that. Now, fine. I do find it a bit odd, but hey ho, everybody's different, and choice is a good thing. I mean, we're in Linux for God's sake.
No, we're in iOS. I use those buttons in iOS. Yeah.
How do you get them buttons in iOS?
Well, it's like in a browser. Like it gives you the button. You can push the button to go back.
Yeah. Okay. So, but is that a system-wide thing? So these would have, on your home screen, you'd have 3 on-screen buttons.
Yeah. So like for Android,
open.
so like so the way it works on here
no,
is
iOS took those away
want,
long before Android took them away.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I want to go home, I swipe up.
Right. Hold on. Yeah. Good.
And then if I want to go back, I swipe from the corner. Like swiping. That's
the difference, right? So I'm totally cool with swiping up to go home because that's literally the only way you can do that. But in a browser, to go back a page, I'll click the back button to go back a page.
Well, no, I still use a gesture. I still use a swipe.
So
there's a button there, but I turn it off because I want those extra 10 pixels or whatever.
Right. Well, yeah. Sometimes I'm looking at my phone so close to my face because I'm like going to sleep reading or something. That like I don't want to look down that far, so I don't care if it's taken up.
So you can. So for example, you can set it so that you end up. Okay, here we go. Audio podcast. Man shows something at camera with these 3 buttons at the bottom, and you can use that to go to home. This will put your recents up, and then if you're in some kind of app, you can go back with this one, and then you can move it around because Samsung always have the back on the right hand side, but other ones have it on the left hand side, etc., etc. And
this drives me crazy.
Yes, I know. And so, I mean, I don't like it. I prefer the gestures in the same way. As far as I understand, am I right that in iOS you don't have that back gesture because there's normally an on-screen back button, like you're saying? Like the way that we
yes.
just kind of
I don't know. Like, explain
because
to me the scenario in which we're talking. I
that
got
same
an
one that
iPad in front of me.
so
There
that
used to
same
be the
one
home
about the
button.
browser.
There used to be the home button. Now you swipe up to go home, right?
Uh-huh.
And then if you're in any application at all, there's a back arrow, no matter what you're doing.
No.
So
I
then how do you
think
get back in applications where there's not a back arrow?
What do you mean back, though?
So if you're in settings
Like-
and you need to go back to another page, or if you're in a browser and you need to go back a page, or if you're in anything and you need to go back, is it because there's a
swipe.
dedicated?
You can swipe.
Okay.
So for example,
I
if
think,
I'm
right?
on so for example, if I'm on Reddit here, right, and if I
Yeah.
want to go back,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
the
I
app
just
implements that. It totally depends on the app. Like, the app can choose.
so this is
Okay. 'Cause
system
this
wide.
is Android level. Yeah.
This is
system
Android level, and so I can swipe back, and like
Yeah.
now it's gone back to, for example, the app I was there before. I've always
Yeah.
found that really useful, actually.
Yeah.
Extremely.
So it's totally dependent on the way that the developer does the app. You can do either. You can do a
Got it.
back button or you can do a swipe. So it's
The only reason I went down that path was that it leads me to the same sort of conclusion with, running a desktop with touch as the primary input. It's inherently going to be
gross.
more complicated,
It's gross.
right? What? Why would you do that?
No. I mean, I'm saying touch on desktop, like, or on a laptop or whatever is gross.
You know what though? I've never had a system where I had a touchscreen on my laptop, and I've always thought, what's the point? Like, why would I ever want to reach out and touch something? And now that I've had that latitude, I've actually gotten used to it to where if I'm on my XPS, I'll do it and then go, oh, that's right.
Yeah,
But it's like it's a further reach.
I have that. No, but I have that exact thing. So I think I've mentioned this before as well. I've had a touchscreen laptop in some way, shape, or form now for maybe 10 years or so. Just the ones that I've bought, like Lenovo Yogas or I had a Dell XPS
Apple
actually, which was
MacBooks.
and all of these. You don't need a touchscreen on your laptop, but when you have one, you start using it, and then when you don't have it for whatever reason afterwards, you find yourself going to poke and go, "Oh, wait a minute, I can't do that."
I think I've got the scenario in my head as to why people enjoy touch on their laptop. And that would be because they're not on a Mac. And this is not me getting on a high horse. Hold on. Mac trackpad gestures are just in a different league than every other laptop in the entire world.
True.
Just
That's true.
every other laptop.
Definitely true when it comes to against Windows laptops.
I mean,
I'd say
and Linux laptops. So, like,
GNOME's got some good gestures actually.
Very dependent on the quality of your trackpad. So this is what I'm getting at, is that there's an operating system and a hardware opera going on, that it is quite literally easier to go like this and then like this than it is to go like that. And by the way, to those not watching, I guess because no one can watch right now, is like 3 fingers swipe up and then just a slight mess around with your finger and then a tap, versus reaching an extra 8 inches to tap something on the screen. And that's just, I'm lazy. That's too much effort.
I mean, I think also though, because okay, so if you take it, if you forget me for a second, if you look at, say, my kids who used to using touchscreen devices from a young age, they're used to screens being touchscreens, and
that's a moral failing on the adult's part.
But and so again, it comes in handy, to, and it doesn't take much for people to start getting used to it. I remember I was doing we had some big meeting at work. It was a Teams meeting. Both me and one of my colleagues both had to be on it. I had my laptop with me, so I put it on, and we were both speaking our spiels through it. And this is a guy who's got a MacBook, he's got an iPhone, he's completely in the whole Apple ecosystem. I have a Lenovo Yoga. It's a touchscreen. And I found him not, quite, pressing the thing to mute himself, unpressing it to, being able to talk, switching the video off, all that, just by touching all of that. And I was just like, okay. mean, we've literally just sat here for like an hour, and you're already doing what I'm doing. It's because we are just so much more used to it, I think, and especially the younger generations are used to touch screens a lot more, and they find it weird when things aren't a touch screen.
Oh, see,
Um,
I've solved the problem. My daughter has both, and it's when you see the setup, I think it's kind of intuitive which one it's going to be. And when you have a laptop that has a touchscreen, you're like, oh, it has a touchscreen. You can decide for yourself how you want to interact with the system, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what your friend did, where it was like, oh, I think touch is more convenient. Therefore,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just flow into that. So,
Having the
but you
option
got to have
is
both.
right, and that's the difference. Is if you have it, you may or may not use it, but at least it's there if you choose to.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't have it, and it's just, and I think that also comes down to, like you're saying, with the quality of the touchpad, where I would come to a meeting and bring a mouse with me, and a lot of people would be like, you know, why has Grandpa got a mouse with him? But my hardware doesn't have a touchpad that really lets me, you know, effectively interact with things. Whereas, if I had a Mac, it wouldn't be a problem. But what does baffle me, and gets into that, like you're saying, Majid, about people who just are so used to that, is the Magic touchpad input device for a desktop computer where you actually still use.
So good.
See, and that's, to me, that would drive me crazy.
I mean, if you have
I would
the same
so
quality,
much rather have a mouse in my hand or a trackball than a.
Yeah, but
than
you're
have to
one
do
of those
stuff with touch.
trackball people, though. Like you're in a totally different league than everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen them, and I have found it a bit odd, but then I've never really tried.
It's if you use it consistently. I didn't like it at first either. I actually bought it and put it in the drawer. Didn't touch it again until I started getting issues. Well, I had problems with my wrist for a while, and so I realized that if I used this, I'm at a consistent angle, and it doesn't hurt as much as using an actual mouse.
Well, you need one of those mice sets like this, to where you keep the bone straight in your arm.
Logitech has one that's at least it was like over $100, and I just
looking
thought,
like a
I kept
joystick,
reading,
you know.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just thought seems a little extreme. It's like the Microsoft keyboards that are at the angle and stuff like that.
Are you the kind of guy that'll spend a whole lot of money on a chair because you use it all the time?
No, I mean, I'll spend hundreds of dollars, but I won't spend thousands.
Oh, right. That's enough. Yeah, but in the same vein, in the same vein,
I had back problems,
man.
Yeah, in my 30s, I had some pretty serious back problems, which I don't have now, thankfully. But sitting for more than an hour was just torture. So I did end up getting a different chair and some different things, and it made a huge difference. So because it's like an occupational thing. It's like if you're a mechanic, you're going to have a big chest of tools. If I'm sitting in front of a computer, I want to have at least a decent chair. And there are people that can sit on a wooden stool and are perfectly comfortable all day long, and it wasn't for me. I don't know if being tall had anything to do with it.
Perfectly comfortable until they have to.
Yeah, those task chairs, like, ugh. But yeah, and there was one Office Max when that was still a thing, had a one chair that I liked that model. I think it was like close to $300, and I bought it 2 or 3 times over.
Yeah, this is that chair. It was $300. I found it for it went on sale for like $139. I was like, well, hell yeah,
nice.
I'm gonna buy that. And I'm still this is like years later. I think I need to the bottom of it's like stretching out or whatever, but I think I need to replace it. But our Office Max is pitiful right now because I mean they're getting rid of them, I guess.
Yes, they are. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what vintage must they be if they're still around?
What's that?
The store or the chair?
No, the chairs.
They're still selling the chairs. I mean, I think they've been making them for probably 15 years, 20 years maybe. They haven't changed. The nice thing about it is the seat itself moves front and back. So you have the normal up and down, but then you can tilt back and forth on this back of the seat, and then the seat itself comes in and out. So you can really nail, tune right to the way that your body's hitting, like the pressure points are hitting, and it's just super comfortable. So yeah, it's because it has those different articulations that a normal chair doesn't have.
Yeah, it's got like 4 levers down here, man, to do all kinds of different stuff. And it's bad because I can move the seat part forward, and I bad about slouching. So that's like a slouch enabler, and that's not good.
Yeah, it is.
So
But I
have you
imagine
got
if you were
the
bigger person.
touchpad thing then, Leo? Have you got
No,
that touchpad, that magic touchpad thing for your Mac or anything?
No, but I can imagine that if I had the exact same input method on my desktop as I did on my laptop, and it worked the exact same, that I would fall in love with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even with it out to the side, like it wouldn't make a difference positionally being over next to you instead of in front
I
of you.
don't use both hands. I only ever use one hand for the trackpad, and it's and to be honest, having the trackpad right in the middle of your body is kind of not great because you're having to, from where your arm would naturally hang, you're bringing it in over here and doing everything at an angle.
Well, that's like the fallacy of using a laptop on your lap. Like I know some people do, but most people don't.
I do, and it does kind of get into the awkward stage where it's like
we have to
the
bend.
gesture doesn't work because you're flicking up like at an angle at that point. So it's weird.
Mm-hmm. So I actually had a question about, and this may be something that you guys talked about that I didn't know, but I hadn't seen it until this week. But the whole PewDiePie conversion to Linux.
Oh yeah,
and
that was weeks ago.
He's
it was a couple of weeks ago.
It's just gone like from like. I mean, he's making his own gear now. I mean, it's pretty wild, like how far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's that escalated quickly meme for the whole PewDiePie thing. I mean, I never really knew who he was. I knew that he existed, but I've never watched any of his YouTube or anything like that. But then it did come up on my YouTube, and I thought, okay, what's this? And then, it turns out that he's a high-profile, some internet personality gamer thing, and he's decided to
excuse me, sir, it's called influencer.
Okay, sorry, influencer. He's on Instagram as well and Snapchat as well. Probably is actually.
He's over there influencing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and on TikTok. Anyway, so he converted to Linux, and now all of his, I don't know, fans. What do you call an influencer's fans? The influenced? I don't know.
No, we call them pooters. I'm kidding. I don't know what we call.
Yeah, I was gonna say. You see, the thing is, you could say that.
They generally all have their own. It's like Taylor fans, Swifties. Like they all.
I knew you were gonna use Taylor Swift there. I knew you were gonna say that.
These are.
Well, I was gonna say Weeniacs. I actually had the thought Weeniacs in my head first, but I didn't use that term because it's so damn old that I don't think anyone would get it.
Weeniacs.
Yeah, from Wayne Newton in Las Vegas.
Oh goodness, no.
Yeah, see, that's how old I am. Like no one would have known that except me. So that's why I went with Swifties to be relevant. Majid, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
but anyway, so no,
to our younger audience, Eric.
That's right. Each of the audience tends to self-identify. But yeah, like so he was an enormous and still is, but he's sort of stepped back from that, and now he's kind of retired, quote unquote, and but he's still doing things, just not the YouTube like grind that he did. And he got pissed off at his computer for something. I can't remember what it was, but then he just decided he was going to try it, and he went. And it really said he went for ricing. Like that was his big thing, was to be able to like make his computer look the way and function the way it was. And he went from, excuse me, in his video when he's introducing it, I think he was using like Linux Mint or something like very obvious. And you'd think, oh, of course he's using that. And then he goes to his laptop and he's using like, not Sway, but what is it? Can't think of it.
Hyperland or something.
Hyperland, thank you. Yes, he's using Hyperland. So he's using a config file because he goes, I'm not a technical person, but here he is, like, doing a tiling window manager.
I mean, that takes some cojones, doesn't it?
Well, it's just
it doesn't.
I think
if you're a complete noob, I'm saying I've never tried it.
The thing I took away
let
from
me ask you this: did he hand code that configuration file, or did he just go find one? He did.
He built it. He built it himself, but that was after having educated himself about what was possible and all of that.
Really? No. Then
Yeah.
he's wrong. He is a computer person nerd.
I know, and
guy,
that's by the
whatever.
end of the video, like where everyone in the comments is like, "Dude, sorry, you can't claim to not be technical or like
Okay,
you've already
good. I'm
taken it
glad the
way
internet
further
agrees
than
with me.
most normal people would, just simply because you could." And that's the beauty. And he's the
Yeah.
thing the thing that made me the takeaway I had was just to see how joyful it was for him to use a computer. And to just have it be an open blank canvas, right? I mean, he could just do whatever the hell he wanted, and that was so different to him. And the way he talked about hating Windows and hating, just being forced into this, structure, and it just got worse and worse. And this idea of having to throw computers away. I mean, he spoke all of the normal points you would have, but then he just took it to this ridiculous degree and really embraced it and was doing so in a way that like he was just like so enthralled by it. And that was, and of course for most people, I don't think they're going to take it that far, but he wasn't coming at this from like a technical background or a technical slant. He just kind of just ran with it. And he was like, well, if they're going to give me this much rope, I'm just going to keep running and see how far I can go. And like, it was so much fun to watch someone like him, which I've never watched one of his videos when he was popular.
Gotcha.
Never once.
Same here.
But to just see him, and this is just in a long line of what I'm seeing other people like Jay's 2 cents. He's been doing gaming coverage and Windows related content for decades, and never 15 years, I think he said, and never made a Linux video because he just, even though people all this time have been like, you got to try it, blah blah blah, but now,
Well, yeah, but Linus Tech Tips did it and made money off of it, and so everybody else is.
Well, so Jay,
but I think there's joy in there though.
Right, and so Jay's 2 cents did did Bazite, which is like a super simple way to get up and running. Installed Steam, installed Epic Game Launcher. Or no, what is it? The
Heroic.
Game Launcher. I can't think. Heroic Game Launcher. Thank you. And then he's just trying games and they're all working flawlessly. And like he's like, this is incredible, And so I'm seeing more of that where it's. And I'm never going to be someone who thinks that Linux is the mainstream, who there needs to be the year of the Linux desktop or any of that nonsense. But the idea that normal people are using it and are just, it's now at a state where people can literally, if they just want to, they can try it and have a good experience.
Yeah. Well, you have to think like the implementations like SteamOS and the groups that do things like Bazite. Those are, I think that's how you're going to get it in front of people,
right,
to the masses, right? Like, because SteamOS is the OS that comes with the Steam Deck, and it'll run all the things, right? But if you care, you can drop down to the desktop. And if you care even more, you can put something like Bazite, which gives you even more power, but still keeps the Steam bits on it, so that you can go back and do your Steam thing, and you can have those kind of two split brain situations where, I'm going to do work. I'm going to hook it up to a monitor, keyboard, mouse, and I'm going to actually do real work or something like that. You could totally do that. But I'm coming at it the other way. I have a Steam Deck. I mean, it's this guy, but I also have the Bazite laptop. And so
which Steam Deck have you got?
The 512 gig OLED.
Oh, okay. Same one as me then.
Man, it's good. It's really good. And Humble Bundle has this handheld bundle right now. Or they're starting it. It's coming up soon. And yeah, I'm like, oh no, I'm never gonna put the Steam Deck down. That's terrible.
Okay, I mean, I've never really used Humble. I mean, I've talked about it before now. I've been trying to get back into gaming so many times, and it's not really happened. The Steam Deck is the latest version, latest attempt of mine. So Humble Bundle, where does one get Humble Bundles from?
.com. And and for those that don't know, if you like games, books, or I guess software. Most of it is geared to Windows because, I mean, they're trying to hit the widest thing. But Humble Bundle got its start. One of its very first bundles was open source. Like the first 3 bundles they ever did were like not open source, super just open in general, which meant that it ran on Windows, Mac, and Linux. That was like one of the requirements. They've kind of strayed away from that, but you'll still see Linux type things come up every now and then.
And often
now,
they'll have things be either very low price or free. And
you can.
I've found some interesting stuff on there.
A lot of their bundles have like tiers, so you can buy, like the game, the one or two of the games for like $1, and then if you go up to the $8, then you get a few more games. And if you go up to $15, you get all the games. But I mean, it's a very if the game that you want is in one of those bundles, it's a very inexpensive way to get a hold of whatever game you're trying to get a hold of if it's there. But like I bought a Diablo book or a Blizzard book bundle one time, and I mean, I'm still reading through that now, and I paid like $15 for 20-30 books, and it's great.
Okay.
But and the cool thing about Humble Bundle is that they're like, do you want it in EPUB, Mobi, or that other weird format? And they just shrug and they're like, here you go, figure it out, whatever one you want. So it's really cool.
Oh, okay. All right. I
Yep.
mean, that's
So
that's
if you don't get into gaming, you can get into reading. So
well, yeah. I mean, I was gonna say I have actually started reading a book, which is Apple and China.
that's okay. I heard that guy talk about
Yes.
that particular book, and it's
Was that the one where he's talking about they spend $55 billion a year?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one, so in that book they explore that one of the big reasons that China is such a powerhouse today is that Apple basically
You
funded.
trained them. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And so now the reason that they have the phones and things like that they're building is because they're standing on top of the shoulders of the money that Apple and the training that Apple had spent lots of money to get over there. So
I mean, I like a lot of the history stuff as well. I mean, I know a little bit about the history of Apple and all that anyway, but it's still interesting. Had the 80s and the 90s, and then Steve Jobs' takeover, and then the beginning of outsourcing initially to Japan,
Right.
and then Taiwan, and all that, and then these kind of sliding doors moments. Where like one of the chief execs is like, I'm sure what's going to be written on my gravestone is I'm the guy that hired Johnny Ive. Do you know what I mean? As the designer, all this kind of stuff. So it's I found it. I've got into it actually. Because since I am just recuperating at home and I'm trying not to do any work and just trying to recover from like almost dying. Yeah, we're coming up to an hour, so I think that
We are?
is yes, we are. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. So we must have been having huge amounts of fun. Exactly. So, all right then.
So what we've learned today is go get yourself one of those Magic Touch tab things.
Yeah.
And go buy a Humble Bundle from humblebundle.com.
Well, I'm just checking out Humble Bundle now, actually.
I think the point of me bringing up PewDiePie was that we can often look at something like open source and we use it all the time for those of us that do, and sometimes be a little jaded and not see it for what it is and the beauty and the magic of this. And maybe let's just give people a little bit of a break.
Yeah. I mean,
hopefully,
I tell you that the what normally gets me being grateful about Linux again is having to use Windows for a period of time. I use that for a period of time and I'm like, oh my God, I miss my Linux laptop or I miss my Linux box.
Me too.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I actually felt that when I used Mac OS as well. I know that's going to annoy Leo, but I mean, I felt that as well then as well. But okay, so if anybody wants to get in contact with us, there's emails and there's ways that they can contact us through Mastodon.
What's our email?
Discord. Something at something.
Moodcast.org.
There you go.
No, we do have a proper email address, don't we?
Linux
OTC something.
I'm sure.
Linux OTC.
I said the wrong one.
This is what happens when Bill leaves.
Yeah, exactly. This is what happened when Daddy's not around.
About Linux OTC, it's not in there, so I don't know people. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, just one other random thing I wanted to say. I'll tell you what helped me get to sleep when I was in the hospital, and I don't sleep well anyway. at the best, but then obviously with all the noises and this, that, and the other. And somebody told me to bring some earplugs. I'm like, well, I came in as an emergency. I didn't think about bringing bloody earplugs with me, but I did have my headphones, my Bluetooth earbuds, and having noise cancelling earbuds is brilliant in hospital. Absolutely,
There you go.
it completely
Yeah.
cut everything out. And if that didn't work, listening to old episodes of Linux OTC worked.
There you go.
So I've been going through the
Lull you
whole
right to
back
sleep.
catalog. I've been going through the whole back catalog, all the way from we started in episode 16. It turns out me and Eric, obviously Leo, you've been there since the beginning, and it helps me fall asleep. So
Nice.
so if nothing
glad.
else, if nothing else about this podcast makes you find it interesting, at least know that it works as good as any sleeping tablet that you can think of. And
There you
that
go.
probably is the
Wow.
best place to end the show. And I've
Yeah,
been
you
Majid.
need to write in show@linuxotc.org. I figured it out.
Excellent. Somebody knows.
There
Isn't
we
that
go.
brilliant?
Thank goodness.
Do you listen to Linux OTC to go to sleep? Let us know and we'll talk about it on the next episode.
Yeah. And you can
Right.
come on Discord as well, because we're on the Linux OTC channel on Discord. That bit I know, at least. But yeah, I'm Majid.
All right. I'm Eric.
And I'm still Leo.
Excellent. See you later, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.